now let's welcome Mr. Voravate, Chonlasin.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank everybody for your invitation for me to join these very important knowledge sharing sessions that organized by graduate clubs and the Office of the Advancement of AIT, and also the team from the Office of the Vice President for Knowledge Transfer, Dr. Naveed Anwar. So thanks for seeing me as one of the alumni that maybe can share some experience that can benefit to the audience sitting today, watching me today, and also the other persons that may be interested in the consultancy businesses and also want to enter into the businesses. So I believe that the information that I'm giving today will more or less benefit to you in various ways, especially in the time of the COVID-19, that everything is uncertain, and also there are very dynamics of the mobilization of the international funds and resources. My talk today has been prepared based on my own experience. Although I'm working in AIT for more than 20 years, and also working with the projects offices of the World Banks and ADBs and USAID and GIZ continuously. However, this is the view that I would like to share from my professional point of views, and it will be more on a practical sense that you can perhaps explore further whether this will be meaningful to your professions and also your businesses. So now I would like to share my PowerPoint presentation. So the topics that I would like to share is basically starting from my thought that inside the consultancy business, there are elements that one has to understand, and also one has to consider to set as the business strategies to join the business, to enter into the business, and also to engage in the very robust, or it's very dynamic, businesses, because these businesses is not only coming from the needs which is demanded by the international organizations or funding organizations, but also is a combination of the well fine-tuned of the country customers that would be accepted to get the money from the international organization and development agencies to get the money in order to run the projects, to make the constructions, to develop the organization. So it is a combination of both sides on the supply side of the thing that we see from the view of the global businesses, and also we see from the view of the needs or demands at the national level or at the regional level, and also from the customer level. I'm dividing my presentations into 6 boxes. The first boxes will be related to my viewpoint into the consultancy business. This will give you a background of the message that I will give you today. The second is what are the possible windows that we can select or we can explore that will be helping us to start consultancies, to start joining the team, to start changing the job, and also maybe to become, international consultants or experts that you can get jobs and works and assignment around the world. The third is the entry points of the consultancy business that we also have to look what are the What are the normal processes that help the business entities and individuals to opt for entering into that, considering from the years of experience, considering the specializations, considering the network that he or she have had, so that what are the process of the project cycle management that we can practically enter into business. And the next one will be the values positioning of the organizations or the business entity that has to be built so that you are very focused on going through that business. You are very focused on the strategy that how you going to win the project proposal, and also the business focus that how you are going to be able to get the repeated projects based on the consultancies, dynamisms in the global community now. So what are the values that we should keep in mind so that we are very direct and very have a very strong foundation on that. And also the fifth one is on how we can position ourselves in terms of the type of the business that we have to go into. There are many types of the businesses. It can be infrastructure businesses. It can be regulation businesses. It can be environmental businesses. But where you are going to position as the individual experts, the team experts, and also the organizations or company expert into that businesses. And also I will end my presentations by the skills that we need to get involved or get engaged in the consultancies, activities, and businesses. So I think first of all, we have to check our identity before we go for a business, because the consultancies is half academics, half business, and also it is a combination that sometimes we call the consultancy games. So I think first of all, we have to be able to see ourselves or see our company, what actually the spirit of the companies or the vision of the company or the identity of the company that we would like to tell ourselves, that we are ready to tell to the clients, to the funding organizations, or to the project implementation agency, that these are the stuff that we are good at, and we have proved that we are really good at that particular technologies, and also know-how, and also the specialization. You have a lot of options. Although you might be the consultancy firm that you are very much specialized in the construction management or infrastructures or high-rise building, you can also find a way in order to reshape yourself, in order to enter into the other elements of the consultancy as well. So number one is you might like to enter into the technical services that related to the hardware part, the infrastructure parts, the roads, the bridges, the environmental facilities, so on and so forth. You might also position yourself in order to send the message to the funding agencies. What will be the big pictures of your specialized in terms of the management services that you may like to highlight in your capability statements? And so when you make a presentations or when you are writing proposal, what will be part of your organizational introduction that you want to map, that you have the specialization in managing the infrastructures, organization, finance, and also the social integration into that service. The third would be, in terms of the related to project cycle, you may also have to look at the possibility of how you would engage into the turnkey stuff of the consultancies. Are you able to address the operations? Are you be able to address the maintenance solutions. And then if you are ready in that, so the way that you present yourself or your company to the funding agencies and also maybe the international partner can also frame in a way that make them, very confident in you. And these have a lot of combination between the technical knowledge and also the management knowledge, and as well as the knowledge about dealing with the organization and people and other experts. Many cases, there are also a way to set the identity that you are maybe very fit into the soft sides of the consultancy. You may like to go into how the government organization can make use of the policies that they have had, or how the government organization have to adjust the policies and regulations to fit into the new things that you bring into the system, or how the policies, how you are going to invent the policy that will help the project organizations or the government organization to solve problems and challenges. Or you may see yourself as a third party, that you have a very legitimate status where you can play as the evaluators of the project. So you are coming at the end of the project cycle, where you are saying to the international funding agency that you are the third party providing the service in terms of the project evaluation, project impact evaluations. And last but not the least, what is your positioning, where you are putting yourself into the context of the works that you have to do, especially putting yourself, putting your spirit, putting your skill that match that with the expectation, the benefit that the project beneficiaries would get. So this is very important, that prepare yourself, that what is your capacity and your spirit that you would come forward as the consulting firms and independent consultant or freelance consultant. This is very important. Be clear to yourself, and also be clear to your message, be clear to your statement. And then you might have just only one or many of these, but don't worry about that. You can connect them later to make sense of your presentation, of your capability to go into the steps, the various stage of the businesses. There are many windows, and I can share with you some of the pragmatic windows to go into the consultancy business. I think we have to keep in mind that experience of the same sectors, of the same infrastructures, and also the same component is very important. And we know that the more of experience that we have exposure to various type of the funding agency. For example, if you have more experience with the World Bank, you have more experience with the ADB, you have more experience with the EFAT or the FID or GIZ, this will be a position or status that you can make your organization, make your company very firm, that we have learned a lot in terms of the working in that particular funding organization. We know the process of the project management, we know the process of the procurement of the works, and also we know the process of how the World Bank or the ADB monitors and evaluate the projects down the line. So that is very important, that we have to show experience, not only the technical experience, but also selectively diversify or put yourself into diversity of exposure to various funding agencies. Having said that, I don't mean to say that it has to be only international funding agencies. It can be also the national funding agency, local funding agency, where it is taking your first step in order to go to the upper level of the complexity of the projects and complexity of the global funding facilities. The second one, I would say it is very important, not only in terms of the team of the consultant, but also the connections that you have especially the connection that you might have in order to get the updated news of what is going on in those countries that they can be your, project clients. So it's very important to have a connection where you can get the updated news of what's going on, what will be the priority of those countries, what are the urgent agenda, national agenda of the countries, or the urgent agenda of the region, for instance. For example, we know that now the ASEAN connectivity is very important and is also one of the urgent agenda for ASEAN, so that ADB have been given a lot of the infrastructure development and also the connectivities, land connectivities, air connectivities, and also maritime connectivity. So that type of the connection that you get some news so that you can present yourself in a way, and also you can also make sense of your identity to adjust to what is the demand at the local context, where you can fit into the serving the project in order to make the projects achieving the objectives and goals. So I think connection is very important that way. The second way connection is important is for you to grow as an individuals or a career growth. We need to maintain the connections with the experienced consultant. We need to maintain the connections with the consultancy partners. Perhaps we also have to create the connections with the big giants, big firms, so that we can start learning how to become, professional consultant, and also be able to get big business, and also engage in that business and also keep learning. So consultancy is a learning process that where you can also learn from the senior consultants, experienced firms, and also the local organization or national firm which have a lot of experience in the local context. Nowadays, we cannot forget about the local firm because they are the one close to the area that we want to develop. Without knowing the local firm specialization, maybe that will dilute your capacity because you are coming from the international organization or international consultancy firm, but you have no ideas what is going on at the ground level at the country you serve. So it's maybe is a disadvantage for you as a consultant if you are not knowing that. So knowing on various directions, that will be a good plus for the consultancy entity, consultancy company. The third is we need to find where we standing at what place. Say for instance, if we are taking example of AIT. AIT is the international organization, international academic institution, and at one point, at one unit, we also have the unit that focus on the consultancies. So AIT see itself at the regional representation, right? At one point, AIT can be a national representation if that is fit to Thailand, for instance, or AIT cannot be the regional representation for ASEAN if it fit to that particular context, or AIT can be part of the regional representation of the global community of consultancy when it's fit into that area. So I think we have to find out what are the industries, what are the areas where we can be there and we can exist there in order to add values to the consultancies that the client organizations or the country would like to use us. At one point, AIT maybe become the good representations of the education projects in Afghanistan, for instance, because we have exposure to the education system in the less income countries, so that can be also the way that you would see yourself very clearly and be bold about that, and also be able to present yourself that these are the surrounding things that you can make your position very strong. And of course, I think it is very important that the skill of exploration, the skill of alertment, the alertment, the excitement that you have in your leadership style that you would like to explore and find a way in order to alert businesses, in order to learn, in order to take risks and find some business area where you can engage in is very important. So those who are leading the company or leading the team should not stop to keep exploring, although there are a lot of mistakes on the way, there are a lot of disappointments on the way, but at one day, you will find the very small spots that make a lot of values to the business that you are doing. So these are very important open window that is not difficult to find, but it can be, you know, found from yourself and also your company if you have, you know, enough, you know, informations and also enough, you know, interested and exciting about it. So the entry point for the consultancies that we can, I would like to share with you is the entry point is that at the end of the day, for those colleagues who are now graduating from the master degree, you may like to go into this business as the individual consultant, so you can opt to do so. You can explore, you can get connections, you get to know many people, get advice from the people that you work with, also check information from the websites of the IFAD, World Bank, ADB, you know, or even the national banks, funding agency in your country, and to see where is the pathway that you can move into that business. The second one is participation in calls for expression of interest, because these participations with the eagerness is helping you to sharpen your skill, not only in writings and preparation of your CV, but also make sense what you write, and also try to conceptualize what have been provided in the TOR, and so that you can answer the question that addressed in the TOR in a more sensible ways, and also more meaningful way, and also more value added way. So I think the one way to do is to volunteer or to participate in the process of the project's formulation, project design, preliminary designs, and also proposing the concepts of your thought, in terms of your ideas of, you know, going into the consultancy business. Also, you can become also a team of experts if you like, because this means that your CV have to be very meaningful, your CV have to be bold, and also your CV have to be showing a very specific specialization in different sector where you want to go in, and that will give your position where the team need you to be in, so that, you know, you can start not doing business, but start sharing your professional experience, sharing your ideas, sharing your technical ideas, sharing your academic idea to that. So it's actually very, very nice flow where you can mix your, you know, theoretical concepts after the new graduation to the practical concepts of the project design. So personally, I like that a lot, because consultancy is not purely academic, and also it's not purely technical. It's a combination of how you trade off between, you know, academic thoughts and also the practical ways of making change to the something that the client organization need your help to help them. All right. Also, another way is, as I say, making connection with the international firms is very important. I and the team at AIT have started to bridge the connection with the, for example, the main hydropower firms in Australia and Tora, who can, you know, get a good big projects which is related to the hydropower, for instance. We also bridge the relationship with the Price Waterhouse, where they can also get a big chunk of the projects that related to the regulatory reforms, PPPs or private sector engagement and infrastructure projects, and also financing projects. So this is very important, that how you are going to find a way or have the strategies that strive to joining and showing your ability to international firms. All right, and that is very important. And also fit yourself into all the stage of the project cycle. Starting the project formulation is purely sitting and write something based on the idea of the experts around you. It is very important to start with. So be excited about that, because that's how the consulting works. Because the consulting is taking the idea from different experts and be able to convey the message into the writings, convey the message into the construction plan, convey the writings into the design, convey the writings into the evaluations, and also convey the writings into the presentations to the client organization. So engage yourself, synthesize the content that you are hearing, listening from other experts, and put together the ideas from 10 pages into half page. That will be a very good exercise that you can, start practicing and try to get into that environment. So I myself see the value proposition of the consultancy service. The first one is the macro level. All right, so for example, we have been doing a lot of capacity building, but the capacity building is a cross-cutting theme. Inside the capacity building is a lot of technical things there. For instance, the projects that we have worked in Laos PDR a few years ago is about hydropower, and our team doesn't have that, the technical expertise on hydropower. But the question is, the projects would like to build the capacity of how to run the hydropower projects in the new regulations. So this framing of the macro pictures also giving you what is the scope of work that your organizations or yourself can make sense to the consultancy work. It's not only technical, but capacity building is a soft size, is a people size, is a humanware that we can go into, and under that there are a lot of hardware of infrastructure, electrical engineering, environmental engineering, climate change into that. So that is one of the macro level that you can project in order to, map out what are the areas that you would frame your specialization. Knowledge transfer, for instance, is very important, because every funding agency asking for sustainability. Build the capacity for 1 year, transfer the knowledge for 1 year, and after that, you move on to yourself. The client organization, the implementation agency departments have to move on by yourself. So the knowledge transfer is also a big theme of the thing, where you can fit in a lot of technicality under that, and that can make sense of the sustainability of the projects. So it is very important to look at the things and also try to translate those things into a meaningful element where you can help them to make sense of the things that they do. So this is another thing. And adoption of technologies. We are talking about the ICT, we are talking about database, we are talking about AI, IoT, and digital transformation. These obviously, at the end of the day, as I said, the benefit of the project, whether you are a consulting firm, whether you're a funding agency, whether you are the governments, they are looking for the sustainability of various aspects to the beneficiaries. So the sustainability bits of the project design is framed in a way that you have to present the theory of change, where people can see the longer impact of your projects. Although your work stopped after 5 years, the project stopped after 10 years, but that leaves with a lot of continuity of what you have put in there. So that is the macro level that I could see as how we are going to value of our consultancy. The strategies is a smaller part where you be able to, go into that. The first one is, to me, is very interesting part is the regulations. In developing countries, many things cannot be changed just because of it is bottleneck at the regulations. So if it is about something that you want to make something happen, maybe you also have to look at how you are going to advise in order to, transform or reform the regulations so that your consultancy will be able to materialize. Because if we stuck to the regulation, it cannot be materialized in the field, and that will be no sustainability. So I mean, your credibility or your project will be not achieving very much. So that is the thing that we also have to keep in mind. And also in terms of the institutional arrangement, just imagine that if you would like to put something technology, for instance, for some organization, but the organization have not been arranged to absorb that intervention from you or suggestion from you. So how can it move? So I think we may also need to consider the strategies where you can make sense of the intervention that you are helping and make it work. So this one thing that we can think about. Upskilling, you know, this is another thing that we can also think about, the building the organization development, the competency development, capacity building, training, human resource, education, so on and so forth. Narrowing down the gaps. Some consultancies cannot happen if there is a lot of gaps in organizations. So these things maybe you can explore, and you can say to the funding agency that, hey, now you are going to make this change, but there is a lot of gaps of the organization. Why don't we address that first? So this type of, you know, ideas and concept that you created, that might also create some of the idea to the funding agency that, all right, so before we do a big project, maybe we need to study that first, so that we try to map the gaps of the different units or different regulations, and then we prepare the organization to make a big change of having the big projects, and that will be the consultancy project. So this is also another way that you can look in the consultancy, so that you can go into the business line that what you want to be engaged in, right? Private sector engagement is also the same, and also the social inclusion nowadays is very important. All infrastructure projects need social safeguard, need social inclusion nowadays, need participation of a civil society organization. So without that, at the point where you want to make the business position, then that may be making your proposal not very strong. But if you include non-technical and something which is very popular, is global interest, and also is the trends of today, that will be also helping you to be able to, you know, pitch the consultancy business. So I just go quickly in this slide. So the consultancy business can be the new technical solution. So if you are the tech organization, you might like to propose that to the project. Can be also planning and operationalization. Operationalization is very important. This is like after you do the projects, how you will help the organization to run that project. Modernization of the existing system, and this is a very popular one in the government finance system, the database system, you know, using the digital technology into the running of the organization. That's another thing that you can go into. Implementation of the new regulation, as I said, this is very important. Without changing the regulation, without, you know, having hint of the regulation that serve the sustainability, can be also a bit of, you know, ensure that there will be an ongoing process. And also address the current trends like COVID-19. This is very popular now, especially in the health sector. The, you know, telemedicine, and also medical technologies. These are the trends that you can go for, and also the e-learning, the AI, the e-learning platform, and so on and so forth. So position yourself in a way that there is a current change all the time, and try to fit in what are the priorities that you be able to mobilize the resources that can make, you know, your company and yourself, you know, interesting. The important skills that we need, I would pinpoint here. Number one, very important, the analytics of the term of reference. This is very important. You need a thorough understanding. You need a comprehensive understanding of each components. in order to make the good, conceptualizations of your proposal. This is very important. So term of reference is very important. The second, the below one, idea creation. The idea creation is part of your proposal or your concept note that ignite the ideas to the funding agencies, and that ideas will also add value to the change process that they want to see. And that ideas also has to match with your storyline in your presentations or your writing. So you have to make sense all of things, although having add some ideas, but you have to link with the change process that you want to bring in, and also the way that you present the thing. So this is the creation part, where sometimes many projects request you or ask you to also suggest the modalities or the approach and process that you want to do. All right, so that is very important. Now coming to the third, on the up part, is the writing. Is in writing your presentation, it is very important that you have to make it simpler. But in this simplicity, you have to thoroughly represent your idea, and also thoroughly to represent your approach and method, and also including your specialization and your team specialization. All right. The next one is the, we need to do a lot of research before we're doing a lot of consultants. So we have to ask a lot of questions. We have to get data. We have to get the previous experience. We have to get previous projects. Presentation also very important, that how you present verbal presentation using media and make storylines and attract them, and also ready to answer the questions, and also ready all the time to, to respond to the negotiation on the table that you are getting from the client organization. So in conclusion, consultancy is a business game. It is more than academic exercise, but we do need the knowledge and skill that you study from schools and also universities. Business experience and connections are very important. So this is representing in your CV. How you prepare your CV is have to be bold, firm, and very specific. So how you present yourself in your capability statement of the company and organizations, and also your CV preparations, is have to be very speaks to the sector that the consultancy is going to work with. And also the entry point of the business is along the pathway of the project cycle design. All right, so actually we have to spend time on studying where can be the point of entry that makes sense to you in that particular sector, in that particular business, so that you can make yourself meaningful to that. And actually this is the opportunity. Say for instance, the World Bank might be thinking of something that need to be intervened in Thailand, but they have no idea. So it is a way that you might also come to the World Bank and propose something that very meaningful to their country strategies or international strategies on that, so that you can also help them to think of the creativities and intervention that making sense. And that is a starting point of how you engage in the consultancy business. Presentation of the document, I'm going to say in a very simpler way here, is that actually all of us or many of us have not been used Microsoft Office in a very maximum way. But there are ways in the Microsoft Office that can link information from PowerPoint to Excel and to Microsoft Word that make your presentation very consistent, very nice designs, and also change-friendly documentation. So this is very important because it saves cost, saves your time, and also making the things are connected. All right, so presentation documents, preparation of document is very important. And last but not the least, whatever your identity, whatever your visions about the consultancy, whatever your spirit in there, you have to align that spirit into the scope of work that the business given in the term of reference. Thank you very much for this.